Hello everyone, today we are talking about some magical items that you may have seen in the D&D movie, and I'm here with Chris Perkins. First up, what was it like taking items from a movie, new magical items, and turning that into D&D items that players can use?
It was super fun and a little bit challenging because a new item designed for a movie story is, in some respects, like a plot device. And it's designed specifically to kind of pay something off in the film.
Right.
Translating that to a general use item
Right.
is a fun challenge because it's sort of highly specialized and does wacky things.
Some of these items are very, very powerful, right?
They're all quite powerful.
Right.
Yeah, they're all basically legendary in terms of their rarity, which is high.
Right.
Super high. And not artifact level.
Right.
Artifacts are like super powerful items. These are like just one step below that, but they do some remarkable things.
When you were first watching the movie, were you like, that will be fun to create?
Yeah, certainly. I think my favorite is the Horn of Beckoning Death. Because not only does it have a cool name,
Yes.
When I first saw it in the trailer, I was like, ooh, what does that do? And then when I saw a screening of the movie, it's like, oh, this is pretty badass.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be a challenge because it's a super powerful item with a kind of a specific story attached to it. And it's doing something mechanically different from anything else in the game. So it had to be very carefully crafted in order to really capture the essence of the item of what we see on the screen.
One of my favorite is a staff that has some teleportation.
The Hither-Thither Staff, yes. In the movie, it comes into the character's possession, and they find several clever uses for it over the course of the movie. But it basically is this staff that creates linked portals that you can then hop between. And mechanically, what's interesting is that these portals can actually move. Mm-hmm. Like if you place a portal on an object and then you pick that object up and walk away with it, the portal remains attached to that object until such time as you use the staff to end it or some other situation ends it for you. But mechanically, it was interesting to try to create an item that allowed you to project portals, set the parameters for those portals, and then acknowledge that, oh, creatively, this can be a fun item to play with.
Right.
Because if your portals are moving around,
Yeah.
that kind of changes things. Most of our game portals are either instantaneous effects, like Dimension Door, that are ended as soon as you use it, or they're fixed in place. So this is very different.
Yeah, a lot of wackiness can ensue with that particular one. Yeah, for sure.
We see a lot of that in the movie. Yeah.
Yes, yes, we do. There are other ones that are more straightforward, like we have a tablet of awakening.
Of reawakening.
Reawakening.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's for people who were awakened and then laid to rest and want to be awakened again.
Right.
Yeah. So the tablet of reawakening is, in some respects, it functions like a scroll of resurrection, a spell scroll of resurrection. But it's even more powerful because it can bring back dead whose souls have been obliterated by certain other powerful items or artifacts or whatnot. So it's like amped up resurrection, or even amped up true resurrection. Another item in this collection is the Red Wizard Blade.
Right. Yeah.
And one of the nasty things about this horrible, horrible weapon is if it reduces you to 0 hit points, essentially if it takes you down, it sucks out your soul, and you're basically forever dead, unless you have said tablet of reawakening.
There's also a helm that is very effective if you are having magical difficulties.
We actually, I think, see this helm in the movie trailer.
Yeah.
So that was my first glimpse of it, but I wasn't sure exactly what it did until I saw it in the film. And it's a very powerful item created by the wizard Mordenkainen.
Right.
And so it's got a bit of a history, and this is the Helm of Disjunction. Now, some D&D aficionados may remember a bygone spell from earlier editions called Mordenkainen's Disjunction, which was the, I'm going to destroy these magic items
Right.
spell. This helm has a similar function in that it disrupts and destroys magic.
Did you have like a couple of different tiers of interaction when watching this movie because you're seeing the spells, you see these magical items, and are you thinking like, okay, how can I make that work?
Yeah, I don't think it would have been productive for me to really start even working on these magic items until I saw the film.
Right.
Because
You have no idea what they do.
yeah, or I had a vague sense of what they do, but you don't really know. Like, you don't know what is the range of the helm or what is
Right.
the range of this until you actually kind of see it play out. And how are the characters using it in the film is important. Because it may have properties, but then they might be using it in ingenious ways.
Right.
And so how can I account for that in the design? And so really, coming out of while watching the movie, yeah, I was watching it on multiple levels because I knew what the items were, and not only was I trying to be entertained, but I was also taking stock of, okay, well, how long did that portal last, or what was affected by this item,
Right.
you know, that kind of thing. And some of it was harder than others. The staff was actually the trickiest one to do.
Yeah, I figured it was.
And obviously, once these items were written up and once they were developed, we had to send them off to the studio
Right.
and to to other people to basically validate, like, mechanically, is this doing what we want it to do? And we had more revisions on the staff than we had on any of the other ones.
Oh, interesting. So there was a back and forth
There
for
was.
all these items.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I like to see the magical version of anything. It's fun to see anything from like any piece of media be
Yeah.
translated into a D&D item for me. In this way, though, I'm really excited to give this to players or
Right?
pit them against
Yes.
these things. You know,
Yeah.
the Beckoning Death is like a great plot hook. The staff there's so many weird hijinks that can be attached to that. All these different magical items, or even like the discovery of them, being able to do like a prequel to the movie, or having adventures that are like, off to the side, happening at the same time or after the
Yes.
events of the movie. That's what's really fun about giving people another way to interact with the film, maybe.
Absolutely. And for me, this was a fun exercise because it was allowing me to do something that I hadn't really done since I was a kid. When I was a kid, there were movies that inspired me. While I was playing D&D. One of them was like, the sword and the sorcerer and stuff like that. I, as a kid, inspired by the items in those films,
Right.
created my own D&D versions of them
Yeah.
to give to my characters. And it had been a long time since I had been able to do that, to take something that enchanted me in a movie and turn it into a practical, magic item for the game,
Right.
for somebody's character. So I'm hoping that these items do get played in campaigns. And I know there are DMs out there watching movies and doing this exact same exercise, and it's super fun.
It's kind of like the beginning of it, right? When you start wanting to design for D&D, you see something that you really like, and you're like, how do I turn this into that? Well, I'm glad the practice paid off.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I developed skills when I was a kid that I was finally able to apply.
Full circle.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect, yeah.